They tried to make me go to rehab. I said no, no, no.
Welcome back. By popular demand, we are three counselors and a couch. I am Kiba Green.
And I'm Crystal Johnson.
And you are the third counselor. And we make drama have a purpose.
That's right.
Today we're going to discuss the finale of R&B Divas and Housewives of New Jersey finale.
The Real Housewives.
The Real Housewives.
So, we are the Real Housewives. Me and Kiba.
Basically. Because we're actually married.
Yes, that's right. We actually married. How many? Let me just stop right there. Let's stick a pin in this for a minute. In all the reality shows we watch, how many of them are actually wives and married?
Wow. You probably would
like
be
pick
better.
A show. Like, okay, let's do New Jersey Housewives. I think that they are actually
they are
the
all
only
married.
ones who are really
married to people. Yeah,
and then the New York Housewives are pretty married. It's most of them. I guess I'm just tripping off of the Atlanta Housewives,
Miami.
What
about L.A.?
And L.A.
So is it just the African American sisters?
And then the other basketball wives too. Then L.A. basketball wives, and then the Miami basketball wives. Okay, Shawnee and them. They not married.
But so that's a good question to deal with. To me, diversity. So are they? Look at the dynamics in that. You got New Jersey, New York, married, mostly Caucasian. Casting. But we have basketball wives, L.A., Miami, and Atlanta Housewives, right. And who else? Miami Housewives. Are they married?
No. The model has a boyfriend. The dentist has a boyfriend. They all have boyfriends. So no.
Okay. So all right, I can't make it a race thing.
Well, you were saying culturally, and even with the Miami Housewives, that culture is predominantly Hispanic.
True. Okay.
So, because you have a lot of Latino women on that show.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So do we need to look at the scripting for that? The people who actually, what's the word? Who actually draft people in? What is it?
The
screen people for the show.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like if they're calling it Housewives, then why wouldn't they be representing housewives?
So is it a southern thing and a northern thing? Because look at the South versus the East or the West or the North.
What do you think?
Something to think about.
What do you think, y'all? Well, you are the third counselor. We are three counselors in the couch. And I'm Crystal, and that's Kiba. But who's the third counselor? You are. Because what you have to say is important, too. We may be able to come from a psychological perspective as two counselors. But, as fans, you watch the shows just as much as we do, and you obviously have opinions. You're obviously able to see patterns of behavior. So that's really just what we do. We recognize patterns of behavior, but what we have is a framework in which we put it in based on, some theoretical concepts that, people in the field have done research and studies over the years, and they have laid out these theory concepts for us. So
we're giving you a different way to look at it because you're already critiquing it from your living room.
Yes, you are.
So we're giving you a different way to look at it from a therapeutic standpoint.
Yes.
And then we're going to take it from a personal standpoint from you as a fan of Three Counselors in the Couch, as a fan of reality TV, and you're going to help us critique it even more and then bring it back to the fans.
Right.
Give them something different.
Right. So I think the framework that we want to try to use today is we want to talk about what we call defense mechanisms. And we also want to talk about what we recognize as post-traumatic stress disorder. Symptoms of stress when somebody has a very traumatic experience at some point in their lives, and then they begin to experience the situation, like the past traumatic situations, they can experience it in the present, and they could experience the same intensity in that moment as if it's happening all over again.
Right. So post-traumatic stress is like when your brain is in fight or flight mode all the time. So every time somebody does something, you revert back to that trauma, that traumatic event.
Right.
And so it's like a movie. It's like a freeze frame. It just keep playing the same scene over and over again. And sometimes it'll move forward, but for the most part, it always reverts back to that one scene. And so a person is stuck in that place of trauma. And so if they never get the proper help or the proper tools to move forward, then their life is always about trauma. And they always seem to be the victim or, victimized because of someone's event. And we look at that as standpoint from Nikki from R&B Divas.
I think Kiki is a really good example of, having PTSD, whatever the symptoms are, you can just see that every time she goes through a situation with these ladies, she starts to talk to them. She makes statements like, everyone always does this. Y'all are just like, them. And, she goes into this intense emotion. Like, for example, on the last show, they went to perform at the, what was that event that they went to? The Essence
Music Festival, right?
Yes. And, they, regardless of all the drama that, and the anxiety that they went through, coming up to performing, which I got to tell you about that, right? But after everything was over, they were feeling elated. They were proud of themselves, happy with the job that they did, and they're out to dinner and they're talking about, okay, like, what's our next move? And they mentioned something about going on tour.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the other women had talked about it before without Kiki being present. And she flipped out. I mean, she just flipped out. She just started saying, she started crying, just becoming over emotional and saying that, y'all always do the same thing. Everybody does this to me. You leave me out. You leave me out. She kept saying that over and over again. And then she started saying things like, you don't need me. Well, if you don't need me, then I'm out, So she actually got up and went away from the table. And then when she came back to the table, because somebody went to go get her, I think Selena went to go get her and talked her down and everything, and she came back. Then they asked her, so, okay, Kiki, where do you see yourself going from here? Like, what's your next move? And she said, I'm going to kill myself. And then Nikki responded to that by kind of normalizing it and not feeding into her game. And then Kiki said, okay, and after you kill yourself, then what are you going to do? And then she continued, like, I'm going to bury myself. So from you could say more about how that demonstrates post-traumatic stress and how she's caught up in the past, but I also want to tie it into the defense mechanisms. These defense mechanisms, these psychological defense mechanisms that we build to protect ourselves from the reality of our present. And we protect ourselves from external stressors and a lot of internal stresses. The things that we tell ourselves about traumatic situations from the past, and how we interact with people. And we're always about protecting ourselves because we believe that, what happened to us in the past is going to happen to us again if we don't protect ourselves. So we start practicing all of these defense mechanisms. So I think one of the ones that she was practicing in that moment was acting out.
Well, absolutely. I mean, part of the symptoms is, like they say, irritability or outbursts of anger. exaggerated, startled response, and it was inappropriate, but at the same time, it was appropriate for her situation. And so, when a person always you always, or you all always do something to me, or y'all always leave me out, it's really not about you.
Mm-hmm.
It's about them.
Right.
And so,
like reliving
exactly again
that other group of people, maybe your parents, your family, or whatever, they left you out.
But
so
she's
now,
lumped everybody into a group.
She's lumped everybody together.
Into a group. And so that's important for her, to feel protected. She had to protect herself. Not only that, but then again, she went back to the victimizing, which was, I'm going to kill myself.
Right.
Bringing it all back around again to self, so I can get some pity. I can get some response. See how you're going to react to me, right? Mm-hmm. And then if for Nikki not to react to her, mm-hmm. To play it down, mm-hmm. it was like, there you go again.
Right.
There you go again, dismissing my feelings, dismissing me as a person, mm-hmm. Treat me as if I don't exist or my words didn't mean anything. Right. You think I'm just joking right now.
And she says that a lot on the show. She says that she's tired of being misunderstood.
Yes, she says that all the time.
People don't listen to her. Like, her words don't mean nothing. Her presence doesn't mean anything, So, like when I was saying about the acting out, it fits right into the framework of what you're saying, because acting out is sort of what we call like this transference experience. Right. So, like, the transference experience is, if I'm a client and Kiba is the counselor, and I come into counseling with Kiba, I start to project this image on her, and I'm not even dealing with her as who she is, Kiba. Right. I've already like made up in my mind, and it's really a subconscious type of behavior. It's not something that you really think about, and you decide that Kiba represents my mother now, So all of the issues that I have with my mother, and if I had a stressful, traumatic experience in the past, now I'm gonna act that out over and over again, and Kiba, you're representing my mother.
Every time it's just little triggers.
Yes.
I could just move a certain way that reminds you of your mother. Or say one word that your mother may used to say all the time, and it just reminds you, and so it just sets you off into a frenzy, so to speak. So, absolutely, transference is real. Uh-huh. Counter-transference for a counselor to a client is real. So
I think that people do it. Aware. People do it all the time. It's amazing to me that a lot of people feel this need to protect themselves. I think we all do, and we develop these coping styles. And actually, some defense mechanisms are not considered negative. Right. There's 7 categories of defense mechanisms, with the first category being appropriate things. Like if you're in a stressful situation, you use humor.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the extreme on one end, and then the extreme on the other end, which I'm thinking I'm gonna need to put Kiki in that category, is the far end of like delusional denial, for example. You're not even just in denial. Like, denial is just lying to yourself and not avoiding the reality of your situation. But delusional denial is when, you don't even make sense. You don't even make sense about what you're saying. Like, everything that you're saying is not even real. But it never
comes
happened.
and goes. Don't you think it comes and goes with her?
I think so.
Yeah, because she acknowledges it on one end and takes it back on another. Yes. Almost, it's like, I know I've been traumatized. I know I've been in this situation with my previous marriage. I've been abused, blah, blah, blah. Then when she gets into a situation that she feels fear or attacked, that goes away. Then the delusion comes in, and it's like, I'm being attacked again. Forgetting all that has happened and all that you said. I need to go to therapy. I need to work on these issues. All that goes out the window. So, of course, it can't all be negative. It's our survival. I mean, that's how we were made. We were made to survive. So, of course, those instincts going to kick in. But
but trauma takes it to another level where it becomes this maladaptive pattern, like this pattern you know, like in the way you go about protecting yourself starts to create a problem in your relationships, like people that you're kicking it with. Like it really causes a problem because you see how they, you know, they learn how to deal with her. Like, you know, Monifa came out and said, you know, here you go with your stuff, trying to put the focus back on you. You know, we here as a group, you know, we relishing in what we did, and here come Kiki. She gotta just act all dramatic and put everything back on her, you know, and receive
It's
this
all
attention.
about you. It's not a group anymore.
Yeah.
It's not about the group going on too. It's about how you feel, and we left you out.
Y'all left
but
me
again,
out.
so you focus on Kiki, I focus on Nikki in that aspect because that's how, to me, that's how I perceive her. I mean, it's always about her. She throws them under the bus constantly. She does not support them, but yet and still, if it's reversed, then how dare you all? How dare you all? You know, finger pointing, blaming, victimization. She can never be wrong. And I'm like, wow. Do you see yourself?
You know, as I okay, here's the holy grail of psychology. This is the diagnostic manual for mental disorders. So this is what I'm using, you know, when I look for identifying symptoms of behavior. Like when you want to recognize a pattern of behavior, you find the framework, you know. So I'm talking about defense mechanisms today. And when I was looking at this, as I was watching the finale show, girl, I got Nikki down for at least 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I'm pulling up
at least 4
defense mechanisms down.
4 of the defense mechanisms, you know. Like, for example, one of the biggest things that she's done, like the time when, you know, they were sitting together at Faith's house. And
with the baby?
Right. And then she's holding the baby. They having drinks or whatever. And then Kiki brings up, like, I'm feeling good about therapy. I feel myself changing. You know, everything is good, you know. And then Nikki spazzes out talking about, we're not going to talk about this over cocktails. You know, like, what the? But, like, that was a perfect example of what we call projecting.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And, well, actually, I don't know if it's more so projecting, or like it's a combination of her, like using denial and repression, because
it's definitely repression. It's definitely repressing,
because repressing is you know, in your mind you just put old past memories behind you, and you do everything to avoid those feelings coming up. And that's really where she mostly
I think that's where she's coming from.
Yeah.
She has so much trauma from the industry and whatever, all the stuff that she went through, that she does not even want to deal with it. So don't bring it up in any other circumstance, because that reflects me. Then you talking about me, or I got to think about myself. So it's not about you. No, you know, again, this is not about you right now. So for me, I mean, I just have issues with her right now.
Like, the reason why I say projecting is because the way she cut her off, it was like whatever Kiki was starting to talk about was obviously going to unearth some of Nikki's past, right? So, like, but she's not conscious of the fact that, okay, this conversation is making me uncomfortable because of whatever my internal things that's going on.
Instead of dealing with it, she don't even want to deal with it. She don't want to hear it.
She projects her feelings. So she said that, you know, this was too much for Kiki. Like, we shouldn't discuss this because this is too much for Kiki. Right? No,
and Kiki,
honey,
is fine
it
with
was too much for you.
Right.
Because you know it was going to bring something up for you. Well, she don't know. That's why she projected.
I don't know if she knows or not. I kind of think that she does know, but I have to have this image of everything's good, and I've come back. You know, I've bounced back. I'm good now. I've made it back, and I'm done with that part of my life. I'm moving on to the next phase of my life. I'm not dealing with that anymore.
Right.
Because that's the image she wants them to see, but deep down inside, she's breaking down.
Right.
Because she hasn't dealt with those things. And that was obvious in the sound session with the whole Big Jim or, the producer.
Right.
That was obvious from the beginning. Her inability to support them.
Right.
Her inability to, what's the word? Praise them, or when, like I said, when they were talking about the producer and the whole incident with Selena, how she put that down. You
wasn't
there.
even there. And wasn't even
how
there.
How you gonna talk over me and you shut up?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm like,
because
even if you think
she got
you're right,
all of those issues, being
from,
in that group,
absolutely,
Brownstone,
from the beginning, that she can't even deal with it.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't know if she knows or not. I think she recognized it, but she's not gonna deal with it because she don't want her insecurities to come out to them.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. But I know that even if you disagree with what they say, shut up.
Right. And that's what I mean about, like, actually, them group of behaviors, like her denial and her projection, right? It's in one of the 7 categories, and one of those 7 categories is disavowal, right?
Yeah.
And that means, like, you don't want to take responsibility
right.
for anything
that you
emotionally.
Right.
It could be internal stresses or external stresses, but you don't want to take responsibility for it. So what do? Like, you kind of separate in your mind the ideas from the feelings. So even if she can admit, like, like, I don't want to be in a group because of all of the stuff that happened with Brownstone or whatever. Right. So she have the ideas, right? But she's disconnected the feelings from it. So she's not dealing with it from a whole perspective.
She split herself.
She split herself.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, okay. So we only have a few minutes, but even in that situation, devouring Teresa.
Right.
Real Housewives of New Jersey.
I feel...
what the hell, really?
I think that just requires a whole nother taping, because I feel we're going to have to do part 2 on Teresa. Because that's just really over the top in terms of somebody who has been desperately hurt, So let's do that on another taping. I just want to, but before we close out, I want to say that, truly we all use defense mechanisms. And Absolutely. The crazy part about it is that when you don't have self-awareness, or you don't have anybody kicking it with you on a personal level, somebody that you trust, right? And then somebody has knowledge of it,
personal confidant.
Like for example, okay, what's her name? Sister keep talking about the doctor. She's supposed to be her assistant, her manager, right?
Her manager,
but she always throw up the fact that she's a doctor. She's probably got a PSY, in education or something like that. Because I think that she teaches, but her behavior is worse than Selena's.
Well, to
me,
has.
It seems like Selena has a little more. She may not have self-awareness about why she's acting the way that she do, the part that she plays in, why her career is where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
But her sister, girl, like when I was watching it, I can't remember. She said something where Selena like made this negative comment about whatever her situation was, right? Mm-hmm. But then she was also discussing like how she's managing the situation. And then her sisters, the 2 sisters sitting at the dinner table, and the both of them started like going in like, yeah, girl, you ain't do good with that, that's bad, or, like, really? And like you a doctor, and this the way you...
Well, not only that, but you my manager.
Yes.
What is your job?
Yes.
Well, we said that from the beginning.
Yes.
Manager, but you back there with me while I'm getting my makeup on, sitting down with me. No, I need you to be out there making sure my show is right, making sure my stuff is right. You are supposed to be managing me, not... If you're going to be my sister, be my sister. Right. If you're going to be my manager, be my manager. Because evidently, you can't be both.
I think that Selena's career is where it's at because of her. She
I
dead
think that's
weight,
definitely
Selena.
accommodating.
You know, you gotta be like Usher. Okay, Usher fired his mother, and his mother was a momager. I mean, she was out there grinding for him. You know, her whole life was centered around making him the star that he is.
Right.
And even still, he found conflict in it. You know, because he's like a real
all
control
these
freak,
child
but
stars. Look at Brandy. She had to fire her. I mean, it comes to a point where
because you want to protect the relationship more than
Absolutely.
anything else.
I mean, husband, wife, teams, Rashida, her husband, you know, from Love and Hip Hop.
Right.
Think
Right,
all of that.
right.
It comes to a point where the lines are so thin and blurred that in order to preserve that, I gotta let this go.
That's right.
Something has to give.
That's right.
Because I want to go here and we here.
That's right.
And the only way we can bring the two together is to cut something off at the head.
Right,
You know what
right.
I'm saying? So,
because you don't even have, like, I remember your point that you brought up about, like, why do we just hire our families for this or whatever? And I think that that's a defense mechanism.
Absolutely.
That's some type of protection.
It is
you don't
a
want to walk
protection.
into the world without somebody
well,
who you
not
know
only
and
that,
love.
but I don't want to be seen as a sellout or I left my family and my friends behind. I'm a
Right.
big, you know, I think I'm all this now. I'm a big shot now. Okay, true that. That's true. I get it. And second of all, you know, we think, well, my money good with my mama or my sister or my brother.
Right.
Which ain't always true.
Right.
We know that. But at the same time, business is business.
Right.
Family is family. And that's just, and we have to learn to separate
And I
the two.
think that, like, by the way they made the comment about Selena, like, this is how I know they dead weight, because I think they jealous. I think they're jealous of her.
How could they not be?
Right. Because you cannot be, you, my sister, is no way that I could be completely objective when handling your career.
I don't care who you are, and I don't care what we do. At some point, greed, envy, jealousy get in there somewhere.
Yes.
Even though we might be the best Christian person I love, and it's not intentional, and it's not malice.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
But the point is,
It's
at
human.
some point, it's human. And it's women nature, too, on
That's
top of it. I
right.
mean, we're women.
That's right.
And at a certain point, you know, okay, no, she may not be Whitney Houston, but she still got this, and this, and I'm supposed to be the good sister because I went to school and got the PhD, or I'm supposed to be on a pedestal, as opposed to me working for her. How dare she ask me to work for her?
Right.
You know, and people don't voice their opinions, right? We just go along and let that stuff fester.
Because she's sabotaging her. Like, she sabotaged her with the father showing up when Selena was doing her show.
Talk about
you
the
know,
father.
or that whole show now where the woman who owned the venue or whatever, she gonna start tweeting and just tearing Selena.
I'm gonna shout out Kim Tooney. That's her name, producer. But
yeah, she was
but
horrible.
like,
What's her name?
Kim Tooney.
Kim Tooney.
You
are the worst example of African American business etiquette savviness.
I concur.
You just went like you was on the corner of Albany Avenue in Brooklyn.
You can throw it out here, Metropolitan and look,
Bankhead.
So, but I don't care how frustrating it is, who the client is, what they teach you. The number one thing in customer service,
That's
the client
right.
is
It's
always right.
Right. And if you want to continue to have business, I mean, who you think gonna work with you after that? You know?
And I know that she supposedly does a lot of events for a lot of major stars here in Atlanta. That's
I'm gonna see that. I'm gonna check that
but
out. I'm gonna Google
she
that.
does, and so I Googled her, all of that. But on TV, this show on TV?
Yeah. That was your opportunity to actually take your business to the next level.
But
or
I
something
don't know
like
what
that.
goes on TV. I guess people lose it or something, because I mean,
Oh my
between
gosh,
the
she was
whole
horrible.
charade thing, between the whole Selena and the fashion show, the
thing,
fashion
right.
shoot. I'm like,
But like, as the manager, she didn't even go out there and handle all of that. Like, why does
that's what
Selena
I'm
have to
saying.
be
manager,
always
the
in the
director,
performer.
the performer. I gotta make sure I got
her
one.
own
All of that should have
stylist
been
or-
there.
Yeah.
You should have bottled water in the
Selena.
trunk.
Tell your sister you love her and get rid of her.
Yes.
Get rid of her as your manager. She is holding you back. And again, it's not malicious.
No.
Or it's not intentionally.
I don't believe that at all.
She just
she
doesn't
loves
know.
you, but
you know.
they can't. She
This
can't
is a
say the word.
This is a
The same
psychological
thing-
suppression. She doesn't know that she's doing it.
The same way you and your father can't say the word.
Yeah.
She can't say
Yeah.
the words to you.
Yeah, because
And you can't say the words to her because
she
you
threw
know.
her under the bus. She threw her under the bus when her father came. Like, why? You know the stress between Selena and her father. So why would you allow? Why didn't you back him up and send him
Why
packing or
did
do
y'all
something?
let him in the room? Absolutely. Why would you let him come in there and upset her?
And then having it. Now, that was a place where Nikki should have been talking about, we're not going to have this conversation right now. She getting ready to go on stage. We're not going to have this conversation.
Don't come here upsetting her.
Yeah,
She
she should have been there on that one. Yeah.
But nobody said, but again, this is the whole show, and we're going to wrap this up today. But the whole show is about denial.
Yes.
Look at everybody. Everybody goes, when shit hit the fan, right? Everybody bags down. Everybody close their mouth. Nobody speaks up. So the whole show is surrounded about, I don't know if that's the way it's produced or what, but I'm like, damn, say something. Nikki out of line, say something. Kiki out of line, say something. Selena, whatever.
Actually, Faith actually for the first time. Oh God, I got so much to say about Faith. Oh my goodness.
Okay,
that's
the next tape.
There. I'm telling you, because I got stuff to say about her. But
we'll do Teresa, New Jersey next time, and Faith. Wow, we got to get to couples therapy. We got a lot of taping to do. So guess what? Stay tuned. 3 counselors and a couch, making drama have a purpose. See you next time.
And before we go, can you answer a question for us? Why don't you tell us, as the third counselor, what do you think Selena should do with her sister? Should she fire her, or should she continue to work with her? What do you think? So hit us up. Hit us up on Facebook. Hit us up on Twitter. And hit us up on YouTube comments. And just let us know, like, what you think about that. Because I bet you got a good idea. And maybe we could get with Selena and we'll take your message and kick it with her.
Peace.
Stay tuned. See you next time.